Welcome to Storytellers, the podcast where we hear the tales and journeys of inspiring members and supporters of NSA Houston. I'm your host, Beth Nas, and here everyone has a unique story. So let's get nice and cozy as we spotlight our next storyteller. Today, I'm eager to have the opportunity to sit down with David Newman. David's impact in the sales and marketing world is profound. He's an author of best-selling books like Do It Marketing, Do It Selling, and Do It Speaking. And he's also the founder of the Do It MBA mentoring program. David is a powerhouse with many Fortune 500 clients and the past chair of the NSA $1 Million Speakers Group. This is what I love about my role here at NSA Houston. It's a pleasure to have you join us today, David. Let's get started with having you tell us a little bit more about what shaped the path of your career.
Thank you, Beth. It's great to be here. Boy, the path of my career, it's like, how much time do we have? So early days, it was a complete disaster. I came out of a 10-year corporate consulting career, so where I worked for large consulting firms in the areas of technology and management consulting, so tech consulting, management consulting. Went out on my own, January 1st of 2002, figured, well, how hard can it be? I know how to speak. I know how to run a training session. I know how to coach and consult. I found out how hard it can be because when you're an entrepreneur, it's not about doing the work, it's about getting the work. So I was literally banging my head against the wall for about 3 years. Really, really hard time with prospecting and lead generation and selling. And, it's the old saying that we always end up teaching what we most need to learn ourselves. So early on, I was a jack of all trades. I had 30 different workshops, and that was part of the problem. So I had no specialization. I had no niche. I had no clue. And I started just accidentally get some training contracts. So I had Microsoft as a client. I had some big banks here in the Northeast of the US where I live. I'm in Philadelphia. So PNC Bank, some other Citizens Bank, the Merrill Lynch Northeast division, these big, Fortune 500 type clients. And then other consultants and other trainers were coming to me saying, hey, David, can I pick your brain? And, how do you do this? And how do you do that? And how do you land these big corporate deals? And how do you get those big long-term training contracts? And what'd you do with Microsoft? And what'd you do with IBM? And what'd you do with Merrill Lynch? And I started just having breakfast and lunch and coffee with people. And then a friend of mine, who's still a friend to this day, is a career consultant. He just stops. We're having lunch somewhere. He stops and he says, David, you should do this for a living. And I said, do what? Eat lunch, have club sandwiches, and hang out. He said, no. You should teach other entrepreneurs how to do what you're doing. And I didn't want to tell him that, oh my God, behind the scenes, it's a total train wreck. And occasionally a squirrel, even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and again. But then the second thought that went through my head is, are you crazy? People like us are broke. It's like, I'm not gonna sell to independent trainers and consultants and coaches and speakers. That's nuts. So I said, thanks, but no thanks. Terrible idea. I'm going to go back to my Fortune 500 corporate training clients. So I landed a corporate training gig, and it was very close to the same time that I was having lunch with all of these different people. And I really enjoyed giving the advice, by the way. And it was like, I was just on fire. I had this corporate training gig. I walk into the training room. People are there like this with the arms crossed, looking really grumpy. They did not want to be there. And this was like a full fee, like $10,000 deal. This was around 2008. And I had a flash. I literally had a flash that says, oh my gosh, these people don't want to be here. I'm in the wrong room with the wrong people for the wrong reason. And I'm having so much fun talking to my entrepreneur, coach, client, customer people for free, right? That's not paid. I'm here with a $10,000 gig going, wow, this sucks. And that flash, that sort of intuitive hit that I'm working with the wrong people for the wrong reason. These people don't want to be here. They kind of feel like prisoners. They're here against their will, compared to the eagerness and the energy and the enthusiasm of the coaches and consultants and speakers and trainers. I said, maybe I should do something with the entrepreneurial world. And that literally 2008, 2009 is when I started to dial back the Fortune 500 work and started to dial up the early versions of the business as it is today. So that's the long-winded backstory of how we got to where we are.
That is incredible. And it literally takes those aha moments for you to be able to make that shift in life, because you were presented with that opportunity before, and it really took that moment for you to be in, to be able to just really be a drone above yourself and see yourself from above and just
Yeah.
say, I'm in the wrong place. I should not be here. I need to be doing something different. So
That
that's
out of body experience is an exact description of what it was like.
absolutely. And, I think over time, through your experience and learning yourself and understanding what you're passionate about, because that passion is really what fuels your clients.
Yeah.
When they see that you are enthusiastic, you love what you do, it gravitates them directly towards you. And I feel the energy when you do talk about this. You just light up. And I'm excited to learn throughout your journey, what were some of the triumphs that you went through and experienced that led you here?
So I guess it was sort of a series of progressions. And I think every entrepreneurial business, especially the business that we're in as NSA members, we're really in the expertise business. We're not in the speaking business. We're not in the training business. We're not in the coaching or keynote business. We're in the sharing expertise business. So in 2008, I said, okay, well, let me start taking on some folks one-on-one. So I had a lot of one-on-one clients for about 5 years, 2008 to 2013. The next big milestone is I learned about this thing. Beth, you're not going to believe it. Online courses. Oh, there's such a thing as online courses in 2013. So I signed up with a fantastic mentor who's no longer in the business, but his name is David Siteman Garland. And he was really the guru of online courses at that time. Interestingly enough, I met David a couple of years earlier at an NSA event. So he came to NSA to learn speaking. I then went to David to learn about online courses. So launched the first online course in 2013, launched the second online course in 2014. Online courses, I think, can only go so far, and I think this is still true to this day. If someone's very motivated and very focused, they can get great results just by going through a digital course. I found that I needed to add a mentoring component, a real-time access to me, access to some coaching, specific guidance based on that particular student's specific situation and goals. So now in 2014 into 2015, we started adding sort of a live-led mentoring component, still driven by an online course, but now the application of it and the implementation of it, we would coach them through, and then the results really started to skyrocket. So that was 2014, 2015. I would say the next big milestone, the next big inflection point is when I realized that my business, if it's just me, it can only be so big and it can only help so many people. So at the end of 2016, I started hiring a team. Before 2016, my entire enterprise was me, myself, and I. 2016, I hired, again, sit down, wait for it, a virtual assistant. And I've come to learn that if you don't have a virtual assistant, you are the virtual assistant. And you're the one sending the emails and doing the website updates and managing the calendar and handling the customer service. And it was just such a revelation that having one additional person on the team was such a force multiplier. She then became my operations manager. We hired another VA. And then at the beginning of 2017, I hired someone who is still with us today, who's our amazing director of training. She came in initially as a salesperson, and that was our first salesperson ever besides me. And she also said, hey, David, I really love coaching. So in addition to selling for you, what if I take over some of the coaching and training of the clients and help you in that area? So now there's four of us, right? There's me, an operations manager, VA, and a director of training. Happy company of four. 2017, we doubled our revenue. Before this, it was around 500,000. 2017, we hit seven figures. And that was really my goal because, of course, 2017 ends in a seven. Our goal was seven figures in 2017. So that's when I qualified to join the $1 Million Speakers Group. And I think at first you think it's a fluke. Like, oh my God, what if I do less than $1 million next year? Will they find me out? Will they throw me out? And I think a lot of people have that imposter syndrome going in. And then, of course, 2020 came along, March of 2020 specifically. That was another big milestone, another big inflection point, because everything we were doing and so many of our clients were consultants who relied on in-person events, trainers who relied on in-person training workshops, obviously some speakers who were very heavy on conferences, events, association meetings. Wipe the calendar clean. No more in-person events, no more training classes, no more workshops, no more keynotes, no more nothing. March of 2020. So we literally had clients who, in a heartbeat, in a matter of days, lost 60 or 80 or $100,000 worth of business. So now here I am going, okay, now what? And of course, our business has been online since 2013. I mentioned online classes, 2013. I said, what if we shift our business? I hate to use the word pivot because everything in the pandemic was pivot this and pivot that. But I said, what if we shared with people our business model of how to do things digitally, online, and remote? And so in March of 2020, I did a webinar, and the webinar was how to take your business online now. And people were literally losing their minds. I mean, you remember how this was, Beth, right, in 2020? And so it was one of our biggest webinars ever. 35 people came into this program about how to take your business online now. Some of them totally had offline everything. They had never even done a presentation on Zoom, which I know is funny looking back, but March of 2020, people were like, Zoom? What's Zoom? I'm still using Skype or whatever. A few of us were using Zoom in the early days. But so that was the inflection point where I said, okay, how can we take an expertise-based business, which could be primarily consulting, primarily coaching, primarily training, primarily speaking, and how can we add additional revenue streams? And how can we start to coach and teach and mentor our clients to have these additional revenue streams so that they're no longer dependent and they no longer have to show up in person unless they want to? Fast forward 4 years from 2020, we now sort of teach this hybrid. So two big innovations in our business now. Number one, we're teaching more of this hybrid online and offline business model. Whether you're primarily a consultant or a trainer or a coach or a speaker or a keynoter or a workshop person or a facilitator or a mastermind group leader. So all of those things can be hybridized. So that's sort of the evolution from the beginning up to today.
I love it. And, a lot of what I've heard a few times now is this mentality of fake it till you make it. And when you are put into situations where you either have to sink or swim, you figure it out. And these days, more than ever, we have so many resources between YouTube and various online courses that you can apply and learn through and gain experience through, or even associations. By you just going in and getting involved and getting in there and just associating with people that are like-minded allows you to be able to leverage yourself and gain that additional wisdom or those, what to do's and what not to do's. So you don't necessarily have to go and create the wheel all over again, but you can now build your wheel according to just one of those elements that, you find might be valuable for you. And I love the fact that you've taken that and through your experiences, you've seen what has worked, what hasn't worked. And, Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, but you've been innovative. And that's super important in any industry is how can you continue to evolve and grow and build yourself? And storytelling is definitely a huge component of it, and it definitely is an art. By now you've mastered it, and in selling these courses and these programs and being able to engage with business owners, how do you think storytelling impacts people's lives?
I remember this was an NSA program, and I just forget who it was. And if someone remembers, please let me know. Or when I'm in Houston, just tap me on the shoulder. But someone said that when you're telling stories, especially about your own background and experience and how you came to your expertise, don't tell people what you've done. And when my clients say, David, how do I do a good webinar? The easy answer is, well, don't do one that sucks. Don't do one that where the first 20 minutes is what I've done, what I've done, what I've done. Here's my beautiful wife. Here's my beautiful husband. Here's my beautiful family. Here's my kids. Here's my dog. Here's my summer house. No one cares. I start out, my rule for webinars, and this has to do with storytelling, is get into a compelling story in the first 2 minutes. First 2 minutes, right? Hi, greeting, welcome, so glad you're here, agenda, story. First 2 minutes, because that's what's going to draw people in. So I think we all have these fantastic, amazing stories that if you take it away from a topic centered story, right? Here's the point, here's the theme. You take it away from a speaker centered story, which is I, me, and my, and you make it an audience centric story. Now, same story. You can take the same exact sequence of events, flip it into here's what I've learned, here's how you can apply it, here's what happened, don't let this happen to you. One of my sound bites that I'm going to share when we're together in Houston is that your marketing and your selling should be easy, effortless, and enjoyable. I have a huge slide that says E, E, E to imprint that on the brain.
I love that. And I'd like for all the listeners and the viewers to pay close attention to that, because what David just said was gold. It's not necessarily sitting there and talking about all the things that you've done, but hearing what it is that your audience needs. And those are pain points. And as a salesperson, whether it's marketing or selling, finding out those pain points specifically relates to people on an emotional level. And when you can tie your connection to another person emotionally, it makes that bond between the two so much more impactful, and it earns that trust. And I think ultimately where you're getting to is by giving your client or your audience the ability to say, I've heard you, I understand you. These are vulnerabilities that you are going through, and I've experienced them too. And this is what I've done to learn and gain and grow from it. It engages your audience to want to listen, because now they have this ability to say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, or this girl knows what she's talking about, and it's going to bring value during this time that I'm going to invest in it.
Yeah.
And so that's great. And I love the fact that you use storytelling as your connection in order to do that, because again, we are all humans. We all go through experiences, we all go through challenges, and how we navigate through them is ultimately, essentially your mindset. And I know you've probably gone through your fair share of challenges. So what would you say would have been a significant challenge that you've encountered that you've navigated through?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think it goes back to hiring people, that I never thought I would be someone who hires anyone or has people working for him. I mean, our team has been as large as 12. Right now, at the current moment, it is 7. But so leadership, right? Building a culture, building a team, motivating a team. That has been a huge, huge learning curve. It's funny. It's almost like parenting. Not that you're going to treat your team like children, but in parenting, they say, don't worry that your kids aren't listening to you. Worry very much that they're always watching you. And so they're modeling your behavior as a leader, even of a very small entrepreneurial company. They are taking cues off of your mood. They are taking cues off of when you're feeling down or feeling upset. So believe it or not, and I had to learn this the hard way, a good leader is always masking any emotional turbulence that they're going through. It's like no poker face, no poker face. So, because your team will never be more optimistic than you are. Your team will never work harder than you do. Your team will never be more driven than you are. So when you take your foot off the gas, you're modeling it's okay to take your foot off the gas. When you're feeling pessimistic or negative or cynical, the team gets the vibe that it's okay to be, or God forbid, there's something to really worry about. Maybe I'm not going to have a job here in a few months if things don't turn around. They start applying to other places, and now you're going to lose some team members. So you literally need to have self-mastery on such an emotional level that they can't tell when you're having a good day or having a bad day.
You are just so speaking my language. You're speaking EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. And
Right.
as business owners, it is definitely a significant tool to be able to learn about and understand and maybe even apply it to your business, because so often as business owners, we are the visionary, we are the integrator, we are in the marketing seat, we are in the sales seat, we are in the accounting seat, and we tend to do everything. But if you start really understanding the fundamentals of operating a business and understanding that there are key roles and key seats, and having the right person in the right seat allows you the opportunity to be able to elevate and delegate and get yourself to a point where you can build your business. You can focus on your business instead of always having to constantly focus in your business. And those are amazing tools that people can then take to be able to build that culture within their organization, because you have to lead by example. And that's what I'm hearing from you, is that that's key. And although we're not, necessarily parents, we are, in my dynamic, I'm the mom, and they all come to
Right.
mom, to either get their way or, be able to get guidance, get support,
Yeah.
and like you said, lead by example. And so leading by example is definitely something, as trailblazers in the industry, that I think, we set a precedence for. And in your case, you have your CSP, which is a certified speaking professional designation.
Right.
And I'd love for you to just kind of tell our audience a little bit more about that and what it took to get that.
Sure. So actually, now that I think about it, I didn't even think about this until you just asked that question. This is my 10th anniversary because I got my
Oh,
CSP in 2014. I realized, wait a second, it's 2024. That's 10 years.
that's
So
awesome.
yes, it's a rigorous process, and people can kind of look it up on the NSA website, what's involved, but it basically takes 10 years of data, 5 of which you have to meet certain criteria for number of speeches, revenue. There's a peer review process with a video. There are 25 client references that you have to provide. It is a very, very rigorous process. So a lot of people ask me, well, David, what's the value of having the certified speaking professional designation? Do meeting planners care? Do clients care? Do audiences care? Do people even know what it is? I don't think that's the real question. The reason that I got my certified speaking professional designation, and the reason I value it and I'm so proud of it, and I always flaunt it everywhere that it's possible to flaunt. It was for me to realize that I had reached a certain level of professionalism and commitment and seriousness in the business. So, for example, when a client calls up and says, "Hey, can you cut your fee?" It's like, "Cut my fee." "Well, yeah, sure, I can cut the fee." "No, wait a second. I'm a certified speaking professional." I sit a little bit taller in the chair. I say, if price is the most important issue to you, I am probably not the best resource. And it elevated my self-worth and my self-esteem so that my business was able to grow and I was able to get out of my own way, which so many of us have, especially early on. But knowing that you've reached the highest earned designation in your profession, I think changes the way that you handle yourself professionally. It changes your self-worth. It changes your self-esteem. It's some external recognition that at least dials down a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
I Totally get it. And it's one of those things where the CSP designation does give you that level of confidence, I think is a really, really good word. With me
Yeah.
just starting out in the industry and not really knowing very much, I did actually have somebody reach out to me and they're like, oh, we would like for you to come to our association and speak. And, what do you charge? And I went in there and I'm like, what do I want to? And so I said in person, $500, virtual, $300. And people are like, that was missing a zero, off of that. But you sell yourself short because you don't have this confidence and you
Yes.
don't know where to price yourself and what your value is. And I think that's what I love about the title of your program that you're going to be presenting to the NSA Houston members on March 15th, which is high fee sales, how speakers
Yes.
and experts can land better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. And so, it definitely does allow you to be able to elevate your game and be able to set yourself up for success as a business owner in this industry. And so really, I mean, as far as the designations are concerned, I know there's the CSP, but then there's also the Speakers Academy. And we're going through our Speakers Academy right now with our local chapter. But tell me a little bit more about what you know about Speakers Academy and your involvement.
Sure. So I served on the board of NSA Philadelphia for a good number of years. 2 of those years, I was the chair of our Speakers Academy in Philadelphia here. Uh, Seeing the success stories, seeing where people start their academy career and then where they went on and how they developed year 2, year 3, year 4, 4 years out, 5 years out, 6 years out. It is such an important, valuable, foundational experience that if you're listening to my voice right now, if you can hear me, don't think, don't hesitate, don't delay. You need this NSA Academy experience. It will literally shave years off your learning curve. It's for people who are new to the business, but could be very seasoned in other aspects of their career. So please don't mistake, hey, this is for newbies. This is for people who have never been an entrepreneur. We've had 20-year, very successful serial entrepreneurs who have built and sold multiple companies. And if you're serious, if at all serious about speaking, training, coaching, consulting, the foundation that you get here, yes, it's a 1-year investment, but really it will pay off for the rest of your professional career.
You've heard him. You have heard David tell you straight up, this is what needs to happen in order for you to be able to get yourself in this industry and go through an advanced way of learning the ins and outs. And again, applying it to yourself, because ultimately you can only gather so much information, but how you apply it ultimately and what you do with it is really the next level in being able to level up. And so I really understand the importance of the selling, the marketing, the engagement, the networking, the being able to get yourself out there, using the tools, using the resources. And that's essentially what an organization like NSA provides to people that are involved. And now with us having you come in on March 15th, I know that there's going to be tons of value that you're going to apply. Maybe tell our audience a little bit more about what they can expect when you come in and you spend some time with us.
Sure. So the high fee sales program is specifically tailored to folks in our industry. So again, I don't call it the speaking industry, I call it the expertise industry, but it's a combination of mindset. And we've talked about some of the mindset here. We'll talk about a little bit more of the mindset when we get together in person on March 15th, but also the skill set that you need and some specific frameworks to help you develop that skill set. And then also the tools, right? So what does it look like to have an exploratory deep dive conversation? What are the questions that you should ask? So that's what we'll do on March 15th. And I hope you can join us. It's going to be amazing. Not because of me, but because of you. So we're going to have a little fun. We're going to make it very interactive, engaging. We talked about engagement. It's not going to be a one-way data dump. It's going to be fun.
Well, and I want to know, What is it that the audience needs to do to be able to get this last little piece of advice from you on what steps they need to take in order to become the best speaker or the coach or consultant that they need to be in their industry? What's some advice for future aspirations in someone who's looking to get into this business?
Sure. Well, I think you have to be in it for more than the money. You have to be in it for more than the money. Um, this business, perhaps more than any other, when you are really selling yourself, you're selling your ideas, you're selling your intellectual property, you're selling your point of view, your perspectives. If this is just the money grab, this is going to be a very, very short career. If you are 1000% committed, hell-bent almost on client results, this business will open up the floodgates to you. Make sure that the value that you're delivering is far in excess of the fee that you are charging. And this business will literally open its arms and open the floodgates to your success.
David, that is amazing and great words of advice, great wisdom. And I love the fact that you're going to be here next month and we're going to get to experience you. A sincere thank you for your energy and for sharing your remarkable insights with us today. You are an inspiration and truly a significant role model in the industry. To our listeners and our viewers, we appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Storytellers. Come back again to hear more from outstanding speakers, authors, trainers, coaches, consultants, and esteemed members of the Houston chapter of the National Speakers Association. Until next time,